Welcome to the Stoughton Writers Group on TV. We're doing a Zoom this time with an author, children's books author, Sarah Silver, a Raynham school teacher who came highly recommended to me by one of her former students, which is kind of funny because you write about that in your book. I want to know, how'd you get welcome Sarah to the show?
Hi, Mike. How are you?
Good.
Glad to
How'd you
be
get the
here.
idea for this?
I just, social media really has helped connect former students and where their paths went. And one day I just got this idea that what if my former students returned back to the fourth grade class, but as adults?
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Do you ever look at them out when they're in the classroom now and see, like, you wonder what's going to happen to them in the future? Do you ever daydream to that point when you're
I
teaching them?
do. I do. It's funny that teachers can really think about kids' futures and where they're going to end up just by their personalities. But yeah, we definitely think about where they're going to go in life and what kind of careers or paths they're going to take to be adults.
One of your former students, Molly Cotrucci, was the one that told me about you, and she's going to be a doctor, Dr. Cotrucci, pretty soon, I bet.
Yeah.
And she's,
Yes, she is.
and I looked at that and I thought of that though, like how rewarding that must be for a teacher to see kids going on and doing well like that.
Yes, that's been, in my personal experience, the best part of being a teacher is seeing your former students growing up and doing something great in the world, especially. It's a feeling, and it makes you understand why you do what you do.
Mhm. Is that what keeps you going every day? Like, does that keep you going during the tough days when you might not feeling well or anything like that, and you look out and you maybe want to curl back into bed, but you know that you got such a great responsibility to to get your kids on the right track and be successful.
Yeah, yeah, that
Mm.
definitely gets me out of bed every day, through the grind, in the moment. It's hard to see past it, but being a veteran teacher as I am, uh, that makes my job even more rewarding to know that, they're still little right now, but one day they're going to grow up. And, my job for them right now as 9 and 10-year-olds that I teach is to prepare them for little life skills or life messages that they'll hold on to. And that's another reason that when I connect with former students, they talk about those things with me and things that they remember in my classroom. And that's also very rewarding. So yeah, that's how I get through some of my days.
It's also like you're the building blocks, use a grade school or even kindergarten expression, but you really are to get them going. Yeah.
Yes, very much so. I'm not with little ones, but fourth graders is what I work with, teach,
Mhm.
and that's a pivotal year in their education. And the way, it's just a big stepping stone for them. They're becoming those young elementary students, and now they're stepping up into being an older elementary student. And it's a big jump, and they learn a lot of different responsibilities and expectations with me. And that's also a very rewarding time for me by the end of the year to see how they grew.
Your book is called The Day the Students Returned. What's that like as a real teacher when they return to school after the summer?
Yeah, after the summer, that's my favorite part, I have to say, is the return back to school because there's the new faces, it's a fresh start. They're excited. If you look back to other years, you can say, oh, I can do something a little different, make it a little better. So, yeah, the beginning of the year is always my favorite part of the year. I mean, I have all special parts, but I do love to welcome new kids back to my room.
What is that? How'd you get the title? Is that how that came about? Like you were thinking about going back to school?
Yeah, more so that my former students returned back to the classroom one day. So that kind of how I put it together is they came back to their fourth grade classroom and they kind of stunned their teacher. She was a little baffled when they walked in because, as a fourth grade teacher, you're looking for these little kids, and they were older, they were adults, they were dressed in uniforms. And so that really, that title was very easy for me to pick. It's, the day the students returned. And it was a special moment for that fourth grade teacher, for sure.
Was there a teacher in your life that made you want to become a teacher?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So I had a few teachers, definitely my second and fourth grade teachers, both of those. I have fond memories of that classroom. And yeah, I do think back to those times in my life and say, yeah, I thought, maybe that's the path I took because, and they always said I was very organized. So maybe that helped too, and
Uh,
creative. So those were my character traits when I was younger. So that's also, the fun part of being a teacher.
think I remember my fourth grade teacher very fondly because she taught me the
Mhm.
love of history and things that followed. But she also told me never, I always remember she told me a carpenter never goes to work without its tools. And because because I wouldn't bring my pen, you know. She goes, you need
Yeah.
your pen and you need a ruler. And it was a long time ago, but we didn't have cell phones or calculators, but always bring your tools. And it's funny when that comes up from my fourth grade teacher. You know,
Yeah.
it's implanted in your brain. Um, so when you started becoming an author, did you always want to be an author, or is this something that just came to you?
Well, no, I didn't ever think I was going to ever be an author. Honestly, it wasn't on my radar. Honestly, I started thinking about putting words down on paper when I became ill. I was diagnosed with lymphoma, T cell lymphoma, in 2013, and I had to undergo very rigorous treatment and try to get ready for a bone marrow transplant. And I spent a lot of my days writing. And, I connect with students very well. And also, I had three smaller children, younger children, I should say, in my house that I was raising, three sons. And I started actually putting words down for having cancer and how to relate it to my kids and how to use words. And, I would write rhyming stories about, my mom doesn't have hair, but she still shows up for me. And, it was a whole rhyming. And I had my boys kind of help me out and make it a family little project. And it was fun to see their insight on, what words they were going to use. And, the feelings that they had really came out as we talked more and more about what we put in the book. And I kind of never really did anything with that book. And then after that, I kind of went to writing children's stories. As a fourth grade teacher, we're kind of in the middle. There are so many children's books, picture books for very young ages, even though we can read them and make them our age. They're geared towards younger kids. And then you go into chapter books, which are, we also read in fourth grade, but different. They're a different style. Um, and I was always searching in the summer for that perfect fourth grade story where it wasn't too young, but it had a story behind it, like a chapter book, and we could really talk about it. And, it was just a message about how they're going to grow up someday and, do things in their life that are special.
Great to see you doing well first. I mean,
Thank you.
yeah. The second question, did that help you get through the process by writing down?
Yes, very
Mhm.
much so. In my darkest days, you would find me writing my stories, and I have several of them written in notebooks. But this one, last winter, I was in a very dark place. I had now, so 10 years, 11 years later, I had to get another transplant, a stem cell transplant. And in the wintertime, it was rough, and my mind was not in a good place, just the fears.
Mhm.
And I was encouraged by my kids. They are now much older
Mhm.
that I should write. I should get out my books. I should get out my stories and write. And I thought in February, I always push my own children and my students to go after their dreams. And I thought to myself, I need to take my own advice. I need to go after something that I'm now passionate about. And I did. I did. I had to contact people, and I fell into the right hands of people for this book, and they helped me with the whole process. So I was very fortunate. So yeah, that's
Well,
how it.
a lot of programs for cancer survivors like Live Strong and things like that do bring out creative side. I remember like doing a story, doing as a journalist doing a story in them, and they had crayons. Drawing was a big thing to get through the expression of creativity. So it makes sense
Yes.
that writing would do the same thing too.
Yes, and it's
Yeah.
true. It's
Mhm.
that side of you, and it kind of takes your mind to a different place that
Mhm.
you're not thinking about what you're dealing with.
Yeah. This is about
Mhm.
you, but when I was going through my heart problems and things, I found the same way. It was writing was hard, but it was also got me back in the game kind of thing too.
Right.
We're looking at
Right.
that.
Yes.
So
Yes.
really it
The
does
same.
is I think writing is therapeutic too. You know, it can get you, like you said, it can take you out of the dark places because all of a sudden you're not in the situation you're in, you're in a pretend situation, or
Yeah.
something different. You're back in the classroom, or wherever you are, you're writing a book like that too. Um,
Right.
was there anyone that told you you were going to be a writer at your point? I'm sure there's somebody that said, Sarah, you can write really well.
Well, I did write a lot in elementary school. I can remember that. I think more so my teachers were impressed of the creativity behind, my projects. And I was very hands-on learner. So, when I had to do projects, it was always very visuals and, I would write creative things or think of creative ideas. So I think that's what I got more out of when I was growing up. And especially as was training to be a teacher, that part was I excelled at because I could find ways to create things that were going to be great for other people.
We had other authors on, and they've actually saved stuff from back then. Are you one of
Mhm.
those? Did you
I
save
do.
anything?
Yeah,
Fall in
thanks
that
to my
category
mom.
too?
I have it in school. It's my writing folder
Yeah.
from my probably fourth to seventh or eighth grade, and I pull it out in my front of my students every year. And I maybe it even went a little younger because I do have a couple small stories in there that were on line paper and they
Yeah.
were stapled together, and I read them to the kids at school and they think it's hilarious because by the end of the school year in fourth grade I help my own students become authors, and we have a young authors day at school and they present what they wrote and as their book idea. And this is where I'm also inspired. I send that message home with them. That's in June, that maybe someday this will be a book. So, now that I have my book, um, I think even more so, maybe someday I'll have a writer.
Maybe you will. I'm guessing
Yeah.
too. What grade would teacher Sarah give students, Sarah, from the fourth grade? How good do you see the promise in your writing when you go back and look at it?
Yeah. Can you repeat that? I'm
I mean,
sorry.
what grade would you give yourself when you go back to fourth grade when you read your fourth grade stuff?
Yeah, I think I would give myself a good grade. I wasn't probably excelling in the whole convention writing, like the spelling. I see, those mistakes, but I had very nice handwriting though.
Yeah. I also want to give a credit to your illustrator, Kelly Hams, is it? Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
How'd you collaborate together?
We met through a mutual friend, and she had published a book for her. And I felt like I was making a few calls, and either it took a while to get back, or just I wasn't getting any return. So this particular person, Carol Lee, she had, like I said, done something for a friend of mine, and she was really excited when I presented her my idea. And I didn't really know. I mean, I had kind of a visual of the pictures, but I didn't, that's not my expertise. So I really didn't have too much to work with. And then she started sending me a few drafts here and there, and I was like, wow, because a lot of children's books are bright and they're cartoony, and we're trying to get kids to laugh. But my story, I really wanted a softer tone. I wanted a picture book where it went, the story went with the pictures. So, I kind of fell in love with her style. It's watercolor, so it's very soft, but yeah, that's how and she worked with me every step of the way. I didn't have to, call her or, wait for periods of time. I felt like it was a good time frame that we pulled it off.
What was it like when the book showed up on your doorstep? You got your first copies.
It was the best feeling. I text everybody I knew, and obviously social media. I put it on there, and it was yeah, making that dream come true and living to be able to see it all happen.
Mhm.
It was incredible feeling. Yeah.
And you want to do it again right away.
I do. I do. I have scripts. I have scripts to go. Um, I actually had two. This one, the book I wrote, and then I had another one, in the same stage. I felt ready to go to an illustrator, and I actually had all my boys sit down and read both scripts at different times. Didn't tell them about each other's thinking, and I thought they would all lean towards the other script because it kind of relates to their lives too. And they all agreed that this was the book I should do first. So that
That
kind of helped me decide where to go.
we have to give credit to Dominic, Dustin, Dominic, and Drew, the triple Ds.
Yes,
Yeah, you
the
have to give
triple
really
D.
credit to them. They did.
Yeah, and they're my biggest critiques.
Yeah,
So
it always looks that way.
yeah.
I'm gonna put choose house on. We wrap this as we get to the final questions. But what advice would you give to somebody that wanted to write like you did? What would you tell them to do?
Yeah, I would say definitely go for it. Sometimes you can write and shelf, and that's okay too.
Mhm.
Um, but just try to go for it. Get a story that that can relate to others in the world, and um, I just have fun with it too. Don't make it a project. Just enjoy the stages of it and learn from different stages. I learned a lot. I did through the whole publishing stages. I learned different things that I would have never known. And I think that's what kind of held me back for a long, long time is the unknown. But yeah, maybe start with someone that will help work with you and know more of the ropes
Mhm.
because that's what helped me.
I know your book is available at any bookstop in Raynham because you had a very successful author signing there and reading. What was that like? The reading
That
there.
was the best day. I
Yeah.
was nervous to begin with. I can remember, waking up and not knowing how it works. Or, I've been to book signings, but for me, my personal self, I didn't know the turnout. And I was overjoyed. A lot of the audience for the story time was my current students, which made me relax a little more. And then throughout the book signing, I met new people, of course, but I also have reconnected with former students from all the way back to my very first class in Rainham. So talk about a teacher moment of emotions. And I saw many in between. Some knew me for my maiden name. So it was a very emotional and I was very proud of the whole thing.
Yeah, it's incredible day there too. And your book is also available online, but we wanted to buy it in any bookstore. But if you're not in the area, you want to go on
Yeah.
Amazon. It's on Amazon and
It's actually on Barnes and
it's available on
Nobles.
okay.
Yeah, Barnes and Nobles. So
Okay,
yeah,
good.
it's right there online.
Good. I really appreciate you coming on the show and talking about writing. I enjoyed your book. It was kind of a surprise. You're always surprised when you open a book and you don't know what's in it and then you read it. And it kind of fits what you've done with your teachers too. I'm glad
Yeah.
you're doing well too. I'm glad you're going to be able to write more books because we can't wait for your next book. And I want to thank you for helping out the Stoughton Writers Group. It's right up your alley because we're teaching people writing, so that works really
Great.
good too. And I
Thank
want to
you.
remind the book is The Day the Students Returned by Sarah Silver, illustrated by Carly Hims. And appreciate you coming on, and we'll see you again. And for everybody else, we'll see you again on Stoughton Writers Group on TV. Be sure to look for us and be sure to support your local authors and your local independent bookstores. And thank you to Stoughton Cable Access for SMAC for helping us produce this show each week. Thank you, everybody. See you soon.